Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 375 based on novel. So let's start. Feng Hai's eyes shrank indiscernibly and he quickly followed. The 6 elders behind him followed with doubt in their hearts. Their movement caused the everlasting sect members behind him to move as well. The movement of over 100 people immediately attracted the attention of the cultivators all over the platform. All sorts of speculations began, and some impatient people simply flew north. With someone taking the lead, even more people followed. At this moment, the competition began to turn chaotic. The 2 people from the rank for sects were originally fighting fiercely, but now they bitterly smiled and looked north. Even further away, the dozen or so rays of light rushing over also closed in. The one in front was a red-haired elder who gave off a Nirvana Shatra aura, and the dozen or so elders that followed him all had high cultivation levels. After closing in, the red-haired old man immediately saw the chaos caused by the tens of thousands of cultivators and frowned. He shouted, "No flying!" After he spoke those 2 words, they turned into a thunderous rumble that spread out. Some cultivators that had just flown into the air trembled and immediately landed on the ground. His voice spread out as shockwaves, immediately suppressing the chaos and causing everyone to calm down. Frowning, the red-haired old man immediately saw Li Qianmei's figure and rushed over with more than a dozen elders behind him. Li Qianmei quickly flew, disregarding how she had alarmed the entire everlasting sect. She flew straight north to where the origin sect was. When she got near, she landed and her gaze swept forward. The joy in Liu Yingjie was even stronger. Before, he only saw Li Qianmei from far away and didn't dare to spread out his divine sense, so he hadn't heard Li Qianmei ask about the origin sect. At this moment, he took a deep breath as he put a kind smile on his face. The moment Li Qianmei got close, he said, "Lady Li, it's been 100 years since we last met. I wonder if you still remember me." Zhao Long, who was beside him, also revealed a look of respect and clasped his hands with a smile. "So fellow cultivator Li knows Liu Yingjie. I'm the rank 7 mountain-seeking sect's Zhao Long." After the 2 of them spoke, the surrounding people were all shocked. It was obvious that no one thought the reason for the daughter of the heavens to rush over would be Liu Yingjie. Liu Yingjie is rumored to be very romantic. I didn't think that even Li Qianmei would be acquainted with him, or would even come to the everlasting sect due to him. If this matter is true, the celestial music sect will become famous before even competing. I didn't expect this. I wonder what about this Liu Yingjie allowed him to gain Li Qianmei's favor. I just don't understand. Even the everlasting sect people who had followed Li Qianmei here looked at Liu Yingjie, but Feng Hai and company frowned. They had clearly heard Li Qianmei ask about the origin sect, but now with Liu Yingjie appearing, their doubts became even stronger. Liu Yingjie smiled even wider as all the attention was on him. He walked forward a few steps and was about to catch up with Li Qianmei, who had just landed. After Li Qianmei heard Liu Yingjie speak, her gaze locked onto him, and she frowned. As Liu Yingjie walked up, she indifferently walked past him. She had battled against the beast tide in the crack for almost 100 years and had just come from the battleground without any rest. Her body was naturally filled with killing intent, and one gaze caused Liu Yingjie's heart to feel a chill. His face immediately stiffened but soon returned to normal, and he clasped his hands, smiling. It has been 100 years, but Lady Li is still so valiant and formidable. However, before Liu Yingjie could finish speaking, Li Qianmei walked past him without stopping. This caused Liu Yingjie to stiffen and swallow his words. Not only him, but even Zhao Long, who was originally smiling, froze. This sudden scene caused the surrounding cultivators to raise their eyebrows. This surprise completely reversed the situation. There was even a hint of mockery in the eyes of the surrounding cultivators. Li Qianmei didn't even look at Liu Yingjie and headed straight for the origin sect. When she got closer, a gaze swept by everyone and landed on Lu Yanfei. Lu Yanfei wiped the blood off the corner of her mouth as if erasing the bitterness on her body and looked at Li Qianmei. Li Qianmei silently pondered and bit her lower lip. After a long time, she softly said, "Did he come?" These words clearly entered the ears of the surrounding cultivators and immediately caused an uproar. Everyone was guessing who this he was. Even the people of the everlasting sect were wondering the same thing. Feng Hai's eyes lit up and an answer to his doubts gradually formed. At this moment, the red-haired elder with more than 10 other elders arrived and saw this. There was a hint of shock in his eyes as he looked at Feng Hai, and they both had their own thoughts. Liu Yingjie also heard these words. Even with his mental strength, his expression changed. After experiencing what he just had, it was extremely difficult to remain calm. His expression was extremely ugly, but he also had vague feeling that something bad was going to happen. The expression of Zhao Long beside him changed greatly. He was different from Liu Yingjie and immediately looked at Lu Yunsong. After Lu Yunsong felt his gaze, he sneered and revealed an unhidden trace of disdain. Zhao Long suddenly felt his heart skip a beat. He felt that the mysterious Persian Lu Yunsong had spoken of wasn't as simple as he had thought. Lu Yanfei silently pondered, and after a while, she shook her head. Although she hadn't met Li Qianmai, she could clearly understand who the Li Qianmai was talking about was. He didn't come. Li Qianmai let out a sigh as she raised her head and looked up at the sky with a hint of melancholy. Her blue hair gently blew with the wind, containing a crestfallen feeling. There hasn't been any news of him in 100 years, Lu Yanfei said as she looked at Li Qianmai. She hesitated for a moment but didn't continue speaking. Li Qianmai bit her lower lip as she shook her head and softly said, "Forget it." With that, there was a flash of coldness as she looked at Lu Yanfei and gently said, "You're injured? The injury is fresh. Who did it?" Lu Yanfei's expression was calm as she indifferently said, "Earlier, this Liu Yingjie said that after the Origin sect disbands, I'll become his cultivation furnace, and he threatened to fight Uncle Teacher. Next to him is the rank 7 mountain-seeking sect's elder, Zhao Long. He thought that this little woman's voice was unpleasant and that I wasn't qualified to talk, so he punished me." After Liu Yingjie heard this, his expression changed. He looked at Lu Yanfei before shouting, "She's full of nonsense." In fact, what he said was true. He didn't say he wanted Lu Yanfei to become his cultivation furnace, but he did intend to make her one. Zhao Long's expression changed and there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. Li Qianmei's expression calmed down as she turned around to look at Zhao Long and Liu Yingjie. Liu Yingjie was about to speak, but Zhao Long quickly retreated. His hands formed seal and a spell began to appear. However, just as Zhao Long retreated, Li Qianmei suddenly moved. She was very fast and created after images as she rushed forward. She crossed the crowd in just a moment with her late-stage Nirvana Shatara cultivation and appeared behind Zhao Long before gently waving her hand. A monstrous killing aura suddenly appeared. This killing intent was shocking and contained thunderous roars. It gave off a demonic feel, and it immediately enveloped Zhao Long's body. A miserable scream echoed as Zhao Long coughed out blood and was immediately thrown into the air. His left arm collapsed into a pile of flesh and blood. At the same time, his right arm and both legs exploded as well. Following that, his body exploded. The smell of blood spread out as Zhao Long's origin soul escaped with panic and fear in his eyes. Li Qianmei calmly looked at Everlasting Sect's Feng Hai and the red-haired elder and softly said, "If you two mind, I'll give the Everlasting Sect an explanation." After she finished, she looked at Liu Yingjie and said, "Since you want to fight him, I'll leave you with your life. If he doesn't come, then I'll take yours and that person named Zhao's lives." That sharp blow and simple words created a powerful impact. It made everyone who saw this gasp, and shock filled their eyes. The people of the Everlasting Sect were also silent. Feng Hai looked at the red-haired elder before he coughed and said, "Fellow cultivator Li, who is this person you speak of, I wonder? The Origin Sect's Lu Yanfei's uncle teacher?" Li Qianmei nodded. Then she let out a sigh and looked at the sky. No one knew what she was thinking. Lu Yanfei no longer hesitated and softly said, "Uncle Teacher said 100 years ago that he would come." At this moment, the he that everyone was speculating about was moving across the celestial realm with nearly 5,000 red mosquito beasts and hundreds of blue mosquito beasts. It was like a red cloud that covered the sky, and it swept across the outer edge of the wind celestial realm. The wind wailed across the empty wind celestial realm. However, this wind was nothing compared to the buzzing of the mosquito beasts. In the center of the mosquito herd, there was a golden mosquito king that was letting out thunderous roars. Every roar would cause the surrounding mosquitoes to tremble in awe and rapidly fly forward. Wang Lin was sitting on top of the mosquito king with flowing white hair as he looked at the inner part of the celestial realm. His eyes lit up. His injuries had recovered a bit over the past several days, but, more importantly, the large amount of mosquito beasts he gathered had increased his strength greatly. I want to enter the inner part of the wind celestial realm. Then I'll get enough mosquito beasts and then go fulfill my promise with the origin sect. The golden mosquito king under Wang Lin let out a cry. The red cloud formed by thousands of mosquito beasts immediately changed directions and charged toward where most of the mosquito beasts were gathered in the wind celestial realm. Hiding inside the aura of the countless mosquito beasts made it almost impossible to find Wang Lin, but the deeper in the wind celestial realm he went, the more cautious he became. The speed of the mosquito herd slowed down a lot as they flew deep into the wind celestial realm. As they moved forward, Wang Lin clearly felt the wind in the wind celestial realm become even more intense. The wind was like the mournful cries of countless souls. It was earth-shattering, and at the same time the wind formed vortexes that traveled across the wind celestial realm. The mosquito beasts seemed to be very fond of the wind, especially the vortexes. Wang Lin had seen many vortexes with hundreds of mosquito beasts inside being pushed into the distance. The thunderous rumbles echoed across the world, and sometimes it was not clear if the wind was moving the mosquitoes or if the mosquitoes were forming the wind. As he moved forward, the collapsed land of the wind celestial realm gradually appeared before Wang Lin's eyes. The pieces of collapsed land were like a broken mirror. The pieces were separated by cracks, and some cracks were so wide that they extended into the void. There were countless ruins and debris on these lands, along with many collapsed buildings. Every time the wind passed, it seemed to take some of it away, and those buildings had gradually disappeared due to the wind over the years. Looking at everything before him, Wang Lin couldn't help but feel desolate. In his near 2,000 years of cultivation, he had gone to the rain celestial realm, the thunder celestial realm, and now he was at the wind celestial realm. His experiences had been very exciting. Not many people could compare to what he had experienced. The rain celestial realm gave Wang Lin the feeling that it was seriously damaged, and it was very difficult to find any trace of the celestial realm of the past. All that remained was the sorrow of being raided time and time again by cultivators. The thunder celestial realm was different compared to the rain celestial realm as it wasn't as damaged. Although it was also collapsed, he could still feel the power and might of the thunder celestial realm of the past. However, whether it was the rain celestial realm or the thunder celestial realm, they couldn't compare to the wind celestial realm at all. Due to the mosquito beasts, cultivators rarely came here after the collapse, causing the realm to be kept extremely intact. Only the wind echoed all by itself across the wind celestial realm. The entire wind celestial realm gave Wang Lin the feeling of endless desolation and loneliness, as if this place had been forgotten for countless years. Only the wailing wind accompanied this place. Wang Lin saw the largest piece of land in the wind celestial realm floating before him. It gave off an ancient aura as if it had experienced countless years of life. There was a giant, stone gate at the center of the large continent. This stone gate was hundreds of thousands of feet tall. Even from far away, you could easily see it at a glance. The mosquito herd Wang Lin was in stopped. Sitting on the mosquito king, Wang Lin stared at the giant, stone gate in the distance, and his mind trembled as if he had lost himself. He lost all his senses, even the wailing wind seemed to disappear, and he even forgot that he was sitting on the back of the mosquito king. The only thing left in his eyes was the indescribable stone gate. A feeling of time gradually filled Wang Lin's mind. At this moment, he was immersed in time. He gradually lost himself as he watched the transformation of the world, watched the ages pass by, watched the constantly changing landscape. It wasn't appropriate to call it a stone gate, because it was only a giant frame. It was like someone had put a short column between these two massive pillars to form a door shape. It simply towered over the land and remained unmoving before the wind. Looking at the stone gate, Wang Lin seemed to return to his body after a long time. He took a deep breath and gradually returned to normal, but his gaze was still locked onto the giant stone gate in the distance. He wasn't unfamiliar with this stone gate, he had seen it several times in his life. This stone gate was the gate formed by the heaven-defying bead when it activated. They looked exactly the same, without any difference. If there really was a difference, it would be that the gate from the heaven-defying bead was an actual gate and not just a frame. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin looked around. This was already the inner part of the Wind Celestial Realm. Going further would mean entering the center of the Wind Celestial Realm. Wang Lin somewhat didn't want to leave as he looked at the giant door. He jumped off the Mosquito King's back, stepped on the wind, and walked on the world as he moved forward step by step. The Mosquito King followed behind, and around it were nearly 5,000 mosquito beasts forming a red cloud that covered the sky. It was as if Wang Lin felt an inexplicable attraction to this giant door. He slowly stepped on the air and closed in on the gate. The majestic aura of the gate became even stronger. If you stood before the gate and looked up, you wouldn't even see the top. A powerful, desolate feeling enveloped the area as if there was an invisible vortex with the giant gate as the center, slowly rotating. Due to this vortex, it made it feel like there was a layer of fog around the gate. It was difficult to detect from afar, but when up close, the fog was easy to feel. Wang Lin stood on the ground and raised his head to look at the giant gate. His mind trembled as he subconsciously spread out his divine sense toward the gate. The moment his divine sense spread over, a thunderous rumble echoed in his mind as if thunder had exploded in his ears. This created a powerful impact that pushed away all the fog and allowed the giant gate to appear clearly before Wang Lin's eyes. What he saw was no longer a gate, but a creature. This creature had a soul. It seemed as if it had existed for too long and gradually gained sentience. When Wang Lin's divine sense spread over, he seemed to fuse with that creature, and at that instant, Wang Lin seemed to forget his own existence. Time slowly passed. Wang Lin stood there motionlessly. He was in a very strange state. This state was very familiar to when he comprehended his first original spell, Sundered Night, on the seaside cliff. There was an old saying, cultivators walk through the heavens and adapt the heavens as their own heart. Only then can they hold both heaven and earth and understand what Tao is. Although this sounds complicated, it has its own reason. It was like a painter who had never seen the highest peak, the vast ocean, or the different states of life. How could he draw celestial-like mountains, dragon-like seas, or the relationship of humans? Only after seeing firsthand and experiencing firsthand could one draw mountains and seas with spirit to create masterpieces that would be passed down throughout the ages. Cultivation had the same logic, which was why all the disciples of big sects would go out to comprehend the heavens once their cultivation level reached a certain point. However, painters were still people, and some people would not be moved by the heavens or earth. They never gained any comprehension and could only leave behind footprints that would gradually disappear with time. There were also people who gained comprehension from seeing the heavens and earth, the mountains and seas, and even from the fishermen casting their nets. Although their footprints would also be washed away, the comprehension they gained would remain in their hearts and be taken with them. Cultivation was like this, and some cultivators felt no comprehension. No matter how much they saw, it was all in vain. Some cultivators had merged the heavens with their hearts and became their own comprehension. At this moment, Wang Lin captured the stone gate inside his heart. This was one of the three great realms, the Sha realm. Sha was the source of all creation. Back then, when Wang Lin gained enlightenment on the seaside cliff, he was watching the sky, the earth, and the sea. He captured all those in his heart and took them with him to create his first original spell, Sundered Night. Today, in the Wind Celestial Realm, under this giant gate, Wang Lin had this feeling again. He was immersed in this strange realm and was about to unconsciously capture this stone gate in his heart and take it away. He didn't want to use it to create a second spell after Sundered Night. Just like how back on the seaside cliff, he didn't think about creating Sundered Night and displaying it to the world. His body stood there, and his aura slowly merged with the gate until he completely disappeared within. At this moment, if a cultivator came and spread out their divine sense, they wouldn't be able to notice Wang Lin at all. Even if they were standing beside Wang Lin, if they just tried to detect someone without looking, they wouldn't be aware of Wang Lin at all. Wang Lin's aura and all his vitality disappeared without a trace. The Mosquito King was still floating in the air, but the moment Wang Lin's aura disappeared, its eyes became filled with confusion. It looked down at Wang Lin and felt even more confused. It could clearly see its master, but his master's aura had completely disappeared. Even their faint connection was severed. The Mosquito King let out a roar and rushed to Wang Lin. It seemed like only by doing this could it remain calm. As it roared, the surrounding mosquito beasts immediately surrounded the area. The moment Wang Lin's aura disappeared, deep within the Wind Celestial Realm, there was a small continent. The sky was dim and buzzing sounds echoed endlessly. The entire world was filled with countless mosquito beasts. These mosquito beasts roared. They were densely packed, but it was impossible to see the end of this herd. On that continent stood a human-shaped, stone statue. Suddenly, the petrification around its eyes began to reverse. The stone rapidly melted around the eyes and the eyes slowly opened. There are 9 laws inside that stone gate, ordered from strong to weak. Which one can he comprehend? The sky was blue with a faint light that scattered across the earth. The world was filled with celestial spiritual energy and beautiful celestial beasts flying across the sky. The entire world was peaceful as countless celestials flew across the sky, chattering amongst each other. They laughed and pointed as if they were talking about something. The entire earth was filled with mountain peaks, with rivers flowing across the land. Celestial spiritual energy spread across the land, and from afar, you could see a celestial fog surround the area, making this place look beautiful. On the ground, countless celestials were sitting there, seeming to form a formation. This formation seemed to spread out for tens of thousands of kilometers, and there were countless celestials passing the will of the ancient celestial realm to fix the celestial gate and welcoming the true ancient celestials. A commanding voice echoed across the sky and spread across the entire celestial realm. When this voice finished speaking, the celestials within the formation formed seals with their hands and sent celestial spiritual energy into the formation. This caused the earth to rumble. Everything began to twist and a mighty ripple began to slowly spread. As the ripples spread, dense celestial spiritual energy came from the mountain and rivers. All the celestial spiritual energy entered the ripple and made it spread even further. Take the eastern mountain to form the left side of the celestial door. The voice echoed once more as the countless celestials chanted at the same time. A heaven-piercing mountain to the east suddenly collapsed. The mountain floated into the air and flew over as it crumbled. As it moved forward, it continued to collapse and then became a square pillar before landing on the earth. The earth trembled and the voice echoed once more. Take the western mountain to form the right side of the celestial door. A towering mountain in the west also moved. It turned into a square pillar and landed on the ground. Take the southern mountain range to form the top of the celestial door. In the southern part of the celestial realm, there was a dragon-like mountain range. The moment the voice echoed, this endless mountain range trembled. It was as if the dragon's head had risen into the air as the mountain range flew over. The mountain range gradually collapsed as it closed in, then it landed on top of the 2 pillars. The voice suddenly echoed once more. Take the land of the north to make the celestial door. The celestial realm of the north trembled violently and cracks appeared. As the earth trembled, a rectangular piece of earth was separated. This rectangular piece of earth gradually flew over and continued to shrink before it became a huge door inside the 3 pillars. Sacrifice to the celestials. The moment the door was complete, almost all the celestials let out earth-shattering roars. At the same time, the ripple that had gathered large amounts of celestial spiritual energy rushed toward the door. A thunderous rumble echoed. As the ripple shrank, a large amount of celestial spiritual energy entered the door. It made this door feel like a celestial door. The ancient celestial realm has ordered that when the celestial door opens, the celestial domain will descend. The scene changed once more. It seemed as if a long time had passed. The celestial realm was still the celestial realm, but it no longer had the charm it did before. A taste of blood spread across the celestial realm as bloody screams echoed. The earth trembled and continued to crack. The sky became muddy as if ink had been poured into water and made it darken. In the distance, about a dozen celestials were flying over, but the three at the rear suddenly trembled. Their bodies exploded into a rain of flesh and blood that fell to the earth. The miserable screams continued to echo. Those dozen celestials struggled to make their way to the door and knelt on the ground. One of them roared at the door, his voice mournful and filled with sadness. The celestial gate has been up for 40,000 years. Why hasn't the true celestial from the ancient celestial realm come? The giant stone door looked the same as it did when it was built, without any change. The door formed by the land was still closed, without a single gap, much less an opening. Just as the roar echoed, some of the celestials kneeling on the ground trembled, their eyes filled with fear. The next moment, their bodies exploded and the blood splattered onto the remaining people. It was a shocking sight. Back then, the ancient celestial realm left a message stating that the wind celestial realm would face a great calamity. In order to resist the calamity, we built this celestial door. Now that the calamity has arrived, why isn't the ancient celestial saving us? Hundreds of celestials appeared over the horizon. Many of them died before they arrived and knelt on the ground. More and more celestials came. They all looked at the door and let out their unwilling cries. If the ancient celestial won't save us, then we will save ourselves. Even if I die, I will die in the celestial realm. A celestial suddenly stood up and rushed into the sky with madness. However, what awaited him was a thunderous explosion. His flesh and blood scattered on the ground, and some even fell on the door. However, compared to the door, the blood splatter was simply too tiny. Even more blood fell on the celestials on the ground. They all raised their heads and revealed madness in their eyes as they charged at the sky. Even if I die, I'll die in the celestial realm. As the celestials continued to fly into the air, the thunderous rumbles echoed. The celestials exploded one by one. They had no chance to resist this mysterious force at all. Even more blood fell on the stone gate. The blood splatter spots gave off a tragic atmosphere. Just at this moment, the darkness in the sky began to move. The darkness above the celestial realm gathered in an instant. A giant, black finger appeared from the sky and struck down at the stone gate with heaven-shaking might. This finger was extremely large, and every single cultivator that touched it died. Soon, the finger gathered all the darkness in the sky, and the tip of the finger collided with the door that was fashioned from a continent. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A thunderous rumble suppressed all sounds in the world. Under the might of the finger, large amounts of cracks appeared on the door, then it suddenly collapsed. It shattered into pieces. At this moment, the earth trembled, and like the door, the land began to crack. At the edge of the celestial realm, more than 10 pieces of land were torn off. Under the constant collapse, the celestial realm collapsed. The earth trembled and was divided into countless fragments. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the celestial realm was in ruins, but the collapse didn't stop, instead becoming even more intense. A destructive aura spread out and crushed all living beings. After a long time, the earth stopped trembling. The collapsing celestial realm was silent, not a sound came from it. The darkness in the sky gradually disappeared until no trace of it remained. The giant doorway had lost the door, and only the frame remained. It stood there, motionless. The scene changed again. An unknown amount of time had passed and a huge rift appeared deep within the celestial realm. This rift was about 100,000 feet wide and gave off a ghostly light. One could vaguely see that it was a star system on the other side. There was a purple planet there, which was filled with countless fierce beasts. The most eye-catching part of them was their large mouths. They rushed into the crack and appeared in the wind celestial realm. Wang Lin awakened due to shock and looked at the giant, stone gate. At that moment, he had fused with the stone gate and seen its memories. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he flew into the sky, riding the wind until he arrived at the top of the stone gate, and sat down. From this position, he could see the celestial realm from a bird's eye view, and the wind here was even more fierce. The wind stung his body like knives and caused his hair to flow violently. His clothes flapped and popped under the assault of the wind. Taking a deep breath, Wang Lin closed his eyes and immersed himself in that strange state while feeling the might of the door. This time he fused with the door, and a vague door gradually appeared in his mind. He was going to capture the door in his heart so he could take it with him. However, the door that appeared in his heart wasn't clear, it was fuzzy and couldn't fully take shape. Wang Lin slowly felt 8 strange forces around the door. It was these 8 forces that made him unable to clearly imprint the door. This stone gate was different from when Wang Lin was comprehending at the seaside cliff. There was only one law back then, so he didn't have to choose, he could just take it with him. However, right now it was different. Wang Lin felt that these 8 strange forces were 8 different laws. If he wanted to take them all, the stone gate would not take form unless he could stay here for countless years. Then, if he didn't die and could reach the peak of the Nirvana Shatterer stage, he might have a chance. It was obvious Wang Lin wouldn't choose this path. His mind began to observe the 8 laws when he noticed something, and his body trembled lightly. Aside from these 8 laws, there is another one. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened and stared at the giant, stone door below him. There was a passage of time on this stone gate. This was a natural aura that would surface when someone had been around long enough. There was nothing special about it, this aura would be even stronger on some ancient cultivation planets. However, for some unknown reason, the mark of time on this stone gate had gone through a change. It was like the evolution of a cultivator's domain, it had evolved from time to eternality. Time and eternality had the same origin but were on 2 completely different levels. This video will end here.